Hi, thank you for choosing to watch this video, in which I shall be tying a Sedgehog in a Invicta style pattern. If you like it, please drop the video a like and subscribe to my channel. It would also be great if you check out some of my other videos. Any and all comments or feedback would be greatly appreciated, and if there are any patterns or styles of flies you'd like to see tied, let me know and I'll see if I can get them tied up. Start off by mounting your hook in the vise and checking the hook and the hold. You can use any medium or heavy wire hook. Catch on your thread. Here I'm using Semperfli's classic waxed 12 knot in Fluro orange. Trim off the waist. Now normally I'd lay an underbody of thread, but I don't want to run the thread up and down the shank too many times, so I'll catch in my undertail of the Semperfli Fluoro Brite in yellow Sunburst at this point. I wasn't going to get any end to the body here, so I'll catch in a bit extra, which I can trim off after. Fluoro Brite looks like a thread as it comes off the spool, as you can see here, but brushes out to give a floss-like tail as well. It's quite a versatile material. Just making sure we've got it on top of the shank and in line. It's quite a short undertail, so I'll trim it to just the back of the hook. Tidy up the front. I'll give the tail a little brush out. It doesn't have to be perfect, as in use it'll fluff out. Once you're happy with that, the next step is to catch in the tail of natural Roe Deer. You don't want to pick too big a bunch for this. Clean out the underfur. Yeah, I'm using a knit comb as the perfect tool for the job. Once you've got the underfur cleaned out, quick stack in the hair stacker, which I left off to the side. Measure up the length of the tail, about the length of the body or the hook shank. Trim off the excess here, leaving just enough to catch in and tie in the tail. Again, making sure you've got it lined up with the top of the hook shank. A couple of loose snaps and then tighten in. Don't let go of the tail as you're tightening on, so hold everything in place. I missed a few fibres there, but it shouldn't make too much difference. I want to try and tie down all the loose ends so there's nothing will stick up through the body and it'll give you a neater finish. You don't have to catch them all down perfectly, just enough that you're happy the dubbed body will cover them easily. For the body on this fly we're using Semperfli's Semperseal subs in Fluro yellow. Out of the packet is quite a long fibre, so you can break it up to get the right length of dubbing you want. A bit of practice soon gets that, and it makes it quite versatile, so you can use it in quite a few different ways. Really just aiming to dub over the tied in deer here and finish with the thread positioned in the front of the dubbing, ready to tie in the next bunch of deer hair. I like to use slightly larger clumps of deer hair for each subsequent bunch. This produces a bit of a taper to the fly and the wings. Completely unnecessary in reality, as the fly will work just as well with even bunches. It's just an aesthetic thing. So it takes a little bit of time to prep the deer hair again, cut the bunch, remove the underfur again. A quick stack. Again, measure up for length, using roughly the same length of wing as the tail. Again, trim off the waist to leave just the stumps to tie in. This keeps the body nice and neat. It makes it easier to leave the space clear for the next dubbing and the next wing. Again, keep hold of the wing as you're tying it in, and cover up the stumps again. A quick spin of the bobbin to unwind the thread. This allows it to lay flat and makes it easier to catch in the waist bits of deer hair. Next step is to dub the next portion of the body. So a slight bit of dubbing, enough to cover up the stumps again. Making sure you're happy with the length of fibres. A little adjustment and tear up here. You don't want your fibre length to be too short in the dubbing because we want to brush it out into the wing and give a nice bit of movement and legginess to the fly. While I prep the next wing, I thought I'd mention some of the advantages of using the Semperfli Classic waxed thread. In 12 knot it's fine enough that it doesn't build up too much bulk, it's plenty strong enough. But one of the biggest advantages is the fact that you can lay the thread flat by untwisting it a few turns anti-clockwise, and the thread will lay flat. This makes it great for catching in like the waist stubs of deer hair on this fly, or creating a nice slim body. Again, cut the stubs to length, and as I position the wing I'll pull my fingers back along the shank to pull all the loose stray dubbing back, keep it all neat so I can see what I'm doing. Again, a couple of loose turns, then tighten down and cover up the stumps again. As I said earlier, it makes for a neater finish, but it also avoids the need for any awkward scissor work around your deer hair. As you can see, we're rapidly filling up the shank and there's a limited amount of space left. I think there's still space on this fly for another wing, which we'll be able to squeeze in and leave space for a bit of dubbing and a hackle at the head. It is very easy to overcrowd the head of the fly at this point. So, trying to keep the dubbing sparse to maximise the space we'll have after. Needs a little bit more dubbing just to keep the taper right. So, careful not to trap any of the hairs on the wings. Thread to the front of the dubbing and we're ready to tie in the next wing. This style of fly has really become one of my go-tos when loch fishing. The buoyancy of the deer hair wings just means these flies float all day. You may need to top ups and floating with the wing, but they just keep going. You also find they're a really robust fly and can take a hammering, which is just as well because the trout seem to love them. So that's the last wing prepped, so measuring for length and trimming off the waist ends. It's key to keep hold of the wing as you're tying it in. This keeps it positioned on top of the hook. Again, a couple of loose turns, then tighten on and bind down the stumps. Keeping hold of the wings also stops the hair splaying around the hook too much. Keeps the right profile for this fly. There's a limited space now at the eye. I still want to put a little bit of dubbing in front of the wing and then a hackle to finish. A little bit of dubbing helps to keep the wing back and in a nice position. But need to make sure we've got enough to cover up the thread. Try to make sure all the fibres are going backwards, but this is can be tidied up once we're tied in the hackle. Rather than using a blue jay, it would be typical for an Invicta pattern. I've used a Grizzly hen hackle from Whiting Farms dyed Kingfisher Blue. Catch it in by the tip, tie the tip back and pull off the waist. Now to wind the hackle, pulling the hackle barbs back, trying to get it to lie as neatly as possible, but this isn't essential. We can tidy it up with the thread once we've caught it in. A few turns of hackle should be plenty, depending on the density of your hackle. Catch it in a couple of turns of thread, then fold everything back. I have to admit this fly is a little bit more congested at the eye of the hook than I would normally like, but we can make this work. Thread the build up ahead and make sure everything's sitting neatly. Once we're happy with that, break off the hackle we don't want and whip finish. And then we put on 2 3-turn whip finishes. Again, the thin tying thread here is helping avoid building up too much bulk. Just take my time to make sure I position the whip finish neatly and then trim off the thread. Oops, I went a bit too close and I've popped one of the whip finishes. That's no disaster. Just take off a few turns and be a bit more careful when I trim it this time. But with the varnish on the top, the 3-turn whip finish should hold plenty well. Just making sure I'm happy with how tidy the head of the fly is. There's nothing going to catch the UV resin. Carefully apply it to the head of the fly only on the thread, trying not to touch the hackle. You notice I've trimmed down the fibres on the brush to keep it as neat as possible. Got a nice coating around the head of the fly, and then set the resin with the UV torch, and you can see how much the thread and the dubbing pop on this fly. That should do. And there's a little bit of dubbing forward of the eye, so I'll try and pull that off with the hackle pliers. Bit tricky to get. That'll do. And then I'll give the fly a good brush with some Velcro too. It's amazing how much tidier this makes the wings. It pulls some of the dubbing out into the wing and gives a nice effect on the body. Also a good taste of how well you've tied the fly. There you go. Invicta-ish Sedgehog.